Aloha, beloveds. If we haven't met before, my name's Timothy, and I'm beyond delighted to be one of the hosts and over 25 speakers at the Health, Wealth, Wisdom Parents Edition Live Web Summit, a life enhancing event designed to empower you with tools and insights for personal fulfillment and family life. This free online summit takes place this Wednesday, August 28th from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern USA time. One of the experts I have the pleasure of hosting is Kathi Sohn. Kathi is a core belief expert, coach, and best-selling author. In 2020, she retired from her first career of 36 years with the U.S. Defense Department. Widowed in 2019, Kathi decided to devote her life to sharing the powerful work her beloved husband created, the body memory process for discovering and releasing childhood trauma and beliefs. Welcome, Kathi, and I'd love to know more about this body memory process and what you'll be sharing during your talk at 2:30 p.m. Eastern this Wednesday on track 2 of the Health, Wealth, Wisdom Summit.
Sure, Timothy. So thank you for that introduction. It's great to be here with you. And I'm really excited, looking forward to the summit. I love the opportunity to share this information with others because it is so very powerful. So the body memory process was created by my late husband, David Sohn, out of his own personal quest for wellness. And in a nutshell, because I know we don't have a lot of time right now, but just to really summarize what the work does, it assists people with identifying and then releasing the core beliefs they created very, very early in life that they're not even aware of, that they're carrying in their body memory, in their subconscious, but it will show up in their life a lot of times across the spectrum of what we call wellness, across relationships and finances and health. But people aren't always aware. They know there's a problem, but they don't draw that connection between what's going on now as an adult and something that happened so long ago. So what I like to emphasize is that even if you feel like you had a happy childhood, you still probably were traumatized, probably by yourself, because when we're that young, before even 7 years old, we're not logical, right? We're the center of our own world. We think that everything's about us, and we jump to conclusions about ourselves based upon these experiences and these observations about the world that we don't even really understand. So it's sort of like a toddler. You can grow up and be an adult, but there's all of a sudden there's a toddler in charge, right? Because of these beliefs. Mm-hmm. And so what I am bringing to the summit is something that I have created for parents to be able to work with their teenagers to actually make these discoveries. Now, my late husband did not work with children. He didn't work with teenagers, but I feel very inspired to bring this work to parents and teens, because parents are in this, position to be, that's where the rubber meets the road, right? It's like in the family, the parents in charge. And if they can understand this and become aware of it as early on as possible, so that even when, mom is pregnant, she realizes that this little being is actually energetically connected, because the research came out of the 80s that showed that, there are these incredible connections through neurotransmitters. And then, of course, they can be that calming, powerful influence in the home. Now, teens are in this great position of being young and being old enough to understand abstract concepts, but also young enough to be still at home, still in a safe environment with their family, and that they can do this self-discovery work before they are out in the world, in the school of hard knocks, like like I experienced, because I was not aware of this. And I went through, quite a bit of turmoil, trying to figure all of this out until I finally decided, hey, there's got to be something going on here, and started peeling the onion of my own, awareness, to do a lot of work on myself. So I just want to, talk about the work, and about how parents can work with their teens. I've been working on, for a while, on this program that I've developed for parents to work with their teens, a very excuse me, robust multimedia resource, for them to, and again, not only work with their teens, but work on themselves as well.
I was going to say that
A
it
lot
would
of
be
things.
it's a dual process.
Absolutely. And there's so much goodness layered in here, because in the course of doing that, your teen gets to see you as human. There's this emotional bonding that goes on, that solves all kinds of problems, right, that parents often face. You're opening those lines of communication, and you're getting all of this great awareness about yourself, helping your child to not only be resilient to peer pressure and bullying, during those teen years, but to set them up for a life that really works well as an adult, because they're sort of, one step ahead of where everybody else is still, fumbling around, saying, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the problem is. Right.
I was just thinking that any teen that says they're bored, those moments of boredom are the perfect time to go inside and start discovering themselves, and they can never be bored. They can follow that program and discover what's hidden inside themselves that they don't even know is hidden. And getting that worked out when you're as young as you can is absolutely phenomenal. I remember, just so parents know, this is really real. I was in my early 30s, and my body started to shut down. It was literally dying. And I won't go into the full story, but I knew I needed some body work. And through getting a Reiki treatment, I literally discovered inside myself that when I was a little child, when something didn't go right, I told myself, I want to die.
Mm-hmm.
And our subconscious only needs to hear something 3 times, and then it picks it up. So every time something didn't go right the rest of my life, which was a lot of times, my subconscious is saying, I want to die. I want to die. Well, my body paid attention.
Yes. Yes.
And it was literally recognizing that, and everything shifted overnight.
Yes, I can tell you a quick story related to that came actually out of my, when my husband was doing this work. He had a client who was aging very quickly. I think she was in her 40s, and her skin was becoming wrinkled, and her hair, and it was just, the doctors could not figure out why she was aging so quickly. So she did this work, and she found, again, through kind of going back into her childhood, she actually remembered standing. It's like she was, I don't know if she was standing in. I think she was older, so I don't think she was standing in a crib, but she was in bed, and she was looking at the light coming out from under the door. So when it's a lot of times you remember when you're a kid, like how your room looked. I mean, it was just very vivid. And she remembers hearing her parents arguing, as they always did. And it was at night, and there was the light streaming in it. And she said it made an H, and it was just the way she was describing the way the doors were built. And she was staring at this light. And she remembers that she said to herself, when I grow up, I will not live in a house like this. Well, as it turned out, she was, while she was in this situation of premature aging, uh, she was in a very difficult home situation. And for whatever reason, she couldn't get out of it. Like she couldn't just walk away. You
Mhm.
know, something was just all her options were closed except for dying.
Mm.
And so her body started to age quickly. And that was the way that it was going to take her out of that environment because she had declared that she would not live in a house like that. This is how powerful this stuff is. I'll tell a quick story about myself and the work that I've done with the body memory process. I was always just terrified to talk in front of more than one person at a time. So when I was a kid in class, every time I knew that it was going to be my time to speak up, you know, I would get all of the heart would start racing. And, you know, I know a lot of kids are shy and a lot of people have fear of speaking in public, but this was far worse. I think it was just took me over. And it over the years it didn't get any better, and in fact it got worse. And my job, I needed to start speaking in front of groups because I rose up the ladder. You know, I was a manager, and I needed to speak at staff meetings, and this was in front of people who I knew. They weren't scary, but as soon as I got in front of them, it was like, oh my God, you know, I was just terrified. Well, what I discovered by doing the work was I was very, because I was very premature and I was in an incubator for a period of time, I had a lot of people critically watching me.
Mm.
And people who probably didn't think I was going to make it because I was under 2 pounds. And this was in the early 1960s, so I'll give away my age. Um, but think about being on stage and in your subconscious, you figure that people are critically watching you and not believing that you're going to make it. So everything was just stacked against me as soon
Mm.
as I stood up in front of the room. And when I discovered that, and I did the work, I have a book, You Made It Up, Now Stop Believing It, and the whole process is in the book. As soon as I did that process and did the release of that particular vow, childhood vow, everything changed for me. I wouldn't be able to be here now, or to be on stages like this. Like my work now is getting in front of people to tell them about how powerful these childhood vows are. So I had talked before about beliefs. It's really the same thing. The terms are pretty much interchangeable. We talk about beliefs, core beliefs. It's a little bit more specific. So we're not talking about political beliefs or religious beliefs. We're talking about these core beliefs about ourselves. A lot of them start with "I am," two very powerful, creative words that we have. And so when teenagers, especially, they all of a sudden they're faced with issues like identity, like who am I separate from my parents? And even if they're not consciously thinking it, it's sort of in a subconscious way they are trying to figure all that out as
Yep.
they're facing what do I want to be when I grow up, right? What am I going to study in college? They're trying to figure out their image, like who do you think I am? And that's all loaded too with he thinks, she says, the wording of these childhood vows that came a lot, mostly from authority figures, caregivers. But once I get older, those words apply to the world, not just who was in my world when I was that young. And that's how it just keeps getting bigger and bigger as our world gets bigger. The childhood vows become more powerful and insidious, really, in our lives.
Yeah, they can either be like a rocket ship or a ball and chain around the neck.
Exactly. Yeah, and if something works for you, you don't want to throw it out, right? So it's not the rocket ships, it's those chains around the neck that we don't need them.
Oh, okay, Kathy. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we say goodbye and I give people a way to find you at the summit?
No, I think that pretty much covers the topic, and I really hope people do join us for the summit. It's not just what I'm talking about. There's so much goodness that all those speakers are going to be talking about helping parents.
Yeah, it's one of the more there's very few summits related to families and parents and children, and this is one of the best ones there is. And every expert that I have interviewed, and I think this is my fourth time interviewing speakers, and I've learned something from everyone. Everybody's just an incredible expert at what they share. And I do encourage all of you listening to register for the summit. It's free. You'll find a link in the comments section. And if you want to make sure you don't miss Kathy's talk and mine, Kathy's is at 2:30 p.m., mine's at 2 p.m. There's also a link for a very inexpensive upgrade package where you can get all of the replays, free gifts, and special VIP gifts. My VIP gift alone is worth more than 10 times the upgrade investment, which is currently under $50. So, with all of our love and blessings, thank you for being with us. It was wonderful being with you, Kathy, and I look forward to being with you again on Wednesday.
Yes, me too.